We all have our ups and downs in life. Ups when we're on holiday, on a beach with an ice-cold drink. Downs when you fail your exam and have to retake the semester. When we feel down, we do a few things to make ourselves feel better. We may watch TV or find our friends, or we re-look at our situation in a different light and say, maybe there's an opportunity for something bigger. Researchers call these emotion management strategies and are curious to see if there's a best strategy to make us feel better. However, they found two problems. One, when people only stick to one strategy to manage emotions, we become dependent, and this has risks of poor mental health. Second, they found different strategies worked better depending on the situation, meaning there isn't a best strategy to manage emotions. We should see our strategies as different tools, like a hammer, spanner, or screwdriver. Our ways of managing emotions are like different tools that are built for different situations. But how do we know what tools to use in different situations? The answer is a simple two-part thinking pattern. First, recognize. Second, change. What does that mean? First, we need to check the tools we have on hand and recognize that the tools aren't working. Recognizing is about taking a step back and realizing that we are struggling and that the methods we're using aren't the most helpful. Sound easy? Sometimes in the midst of trying to fix things, we keep going on and we don't recognize that the tools we're using aren't working or aren't as efficient. Secondly, we change how we approach the situation. After we recognize that we seem to be struggling or having a difficult time, we should ask ourselves, what are some other ways to manage this? This helps us look through our toolbox and to change our tools that could be more helpful for our situations. When it comes to tools, we use this two-part thinking pattern. First, we recognize our tools that don't seem to be effective, and secondly, we look into our toolbox to change into another tool. Similarly to managing emotions, it's the same two-part thinking pattern. First, we are recognizing that things we tried aren't working to make us feel better. Secondly, we look into our coping toolbox and to change our tools that could help us cope in our situation. When we feel down, we usually try different ways to cope, like watching our favorite shows or maybe talking to our friends, but some days it doesn't seem to make us feel any better. When we start to recognize that things don't seem to be improving, that we are still struggling, or our tools aren't working, we need to change our methods of coping and ask ourselves, what are some other ways to cope with this? When we look through our coping toolbox, we open up new avenues of coping. We explore other ways of making ourselves feel better, like doing yoga, or going for a jog, or approaching a different person who could give us better guidance. Remember this simple thinking pattern. First, recognize our struggles by taking a step back and realizing that our tools don't seem to be working. Then, change the tools in our hands. Begin to ask ourselves, what are other ways to better cope with this?